Assalamu alaikum viewers. I am your host Sama once again, and this time with the very first podcast. So you'll be wondering that how come the last one was 11th and this time we have the first one once again. So just a quick announcement. So uh, up until the present time, we have been doing podcast on cricket mainly. So from today onwards, we'll officially be launching our podcast on football as well. So as part of the channel Sports Banter, we will now be discussing football as well. So just a quick uh, update on football. So recently, two major tournaments have been going on: the Copa America and the Euros. So in the today's podcast, we'll specifically focus on the semi-final match between Spain and France. And in the future podcast on the football, we will be discussing other matches as well, like the England versus Netherlands match, and also the impending final match of Euros between uh, England and Spain. And in Copa, we'll also be discussing majorly the journey of Lionel Messi once again towards the final of Copa America and the little controversy between Colombia and Uruguay match in the end. Although Uruguay lost, but in the end, there was this tussle between some of the Uruguayan players and the Colombian crowd. So we'll be discussing those things in the future podcast. But for this one, we'll be discussing the Spain versus France match. And once again, as I announced earlier, that we are officially beginning the football sub-series of this podcast, Sports Banter. So welcome to the very first podcast of football on the football. So with me, I have the usual panelist. Once again, I have Nofil. Hello, Nofil. And on bottom left, we have Numeer. And on bottom right, we have Faraz Tukir once again. So Euros 2024. So unlike previous tournaments, lately we had the World Cup in 2022 and before that. So maybe you guys have different opinion, but this tournament didn't live up to the expectations or the hype like it previously used to do so. But maybe the game has evolved or it has become more tactical or the lower tier nations, or you can say the mediocre or above average teams, not one of those best ones, they have improved their quality of football. So maybe that's one reason. We will of course discuss these reasons in the future podcast and in the present fun as well. So according to my opinion, this Euro hasn't lived up to the hype, the pre-tournament hype. But let's just start delving deeper into the tournament and what has happened. So we have the two finalists, Spain and England. And in the semi-final, Spain defeated France 2-1. And the other semi-final match was between England and uh, Netherlands. And England was able to beat Netherlands. So the two finalists we have are, as I said, England and Spain. So in this one, we will focus on Spain versus France match. And as I said, that Spain was able to beat France 2-1. So first of all, Colomani scored for France in the match. Then Lamine Yamal instantly equalized after like uh, 5 to 7 minutes. And later on, Danny Olmo was able to score, and hence Spain won the match 2-1, and they were able to progress towards the final of the tournament. So first of all, I'll come towards you, Nofil. So Spain is widely seen as the favorite of this Euros. So coming into this tournament, people were saying, okay, France is the best team, or like the England is the best team, and they were even counting in like uh, Spain, but not up to the level of France or England, but and Germany as well. But presently, as we have seen over the course of tournament, Spain has been the standout team in terms of performance. They have played a good attacking football. So, how do you rate Spain, and how do you see their progress throughout the tournament?
So I think right now Spain is pretty much the best team, to be honest, because even though they've been a little slow as far as their performance goes, they were a slow burn, but they were consistent. They were scoring goals every match, and they were, I mean, of course, winning every match. Um, I honestly didn't think that Spain was gonna go this far. They have good players, but they don't have the best players, in my opinion. But overall, I feel like their mentality has been kind of on the top. Um, what do you call it? They have some amazing forward players, but they're not the best scorers in my opinion. Um, if you look at Danny Olmos, I mean, we're gonna discuss that anyway after, but France was a lot more hyped compared to Spain because, of course, they have Mbappe and they have all the best players. Half of their team more than, I mean, not half, like 3 or 4 players that are from Real Madrid. So if you have players of that caliber in your team, of course you're going to be rated more than Spain, who have amazing players like Carvajal, Nacho, who are or were in Madrid. But I mean, Carvajal is still in Madrid, but Nacho is going to be retiring, right? I think. Um, what do you call it? Immediately, what do you call it? They're gonna with Mbappe, his whole issue with the nose and everything. I feel like he's not been performing the best, and because of that, that was a factor too in France losing. Other than that, the funny thing about France was that they didn't score an open goal until this match, and I feel like that was their bad luck. Once they scored an open goal, that's when they lost the whole what do you call it, the match. Other than that, I feel like there's a couple of very good prospects in Spain. One of the best ones, of course, the one we all know is Lamine Yamal. The kid is only 16 years old. He goes to high school and he scored one of the best goals that they needed to bring back the team and the morale. So I feel like he's of course the top man right now of Spain. Daniel almost he is in the golden boot running and he's on the top. But I feel like the person who brought everything back was Lamine Yamal. So I honestly thought that France was gonna win. They're gonna take it to the penalties, but after he scored that goal and brought it back, that's when everything changed. That's the pinnacle moment of the match, to be honest, because nobody was expecting that shot from him. So overall, I feel like even though Spain is a really good team by itself, individualistic efforts like Lamine Yamal did is what made their victory possible.
Okay, okay. So for us, Nofil talked about the expertise of Lamine Jamal, and before that, he was like, Mbappe hasn't been able to perform up to his standards. So before coming towards France, I would have a Spain specific question for you, and that is, up until 2014 or 2015, I guess Luis Enrique was the manager last in 2015, 2016, and before that we had Vicente Del Bosque, and before that Luis Aragones. So during Del Bosque's period, there was this tiki-taka philosophy where the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, they were passing, passing, and passing, and they didn't have any out and out wingers that could attack the wings. So usually Iniesta was playing on the left wing, and on the right wing there was either Pedro Rodriguez or overlapping fullback. And generally, the thing I want to say is that there's been general change in the dimension or the playing style of Spain. Now we see a more direct Spain under De La Fuente. So how do you see this? Is this side more aesthetically pleasing to see or watch, or was the Vicente del Bosque's side more the all-conquering side of Spain, bit from 2008 to 12? Was that a better side?
I guess both of the style of plays have their own charm. In this style of play, as you just mentioned, that they are making use of the wide attackers more with the likes of Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams. They are making use of the width of the pitch a lot. And in the past, they used to mainly pass the ball around and, uh, as you said, mentioned, uh, do the tiki taka.
Mm.
So I find both of the style of plays aesthetically pleasing, and I guess Spain has to be the most entertaining team to watch this Euros, and we haven't seen a lot of entertaining football up to this point. But yeah, I believe Spain deservedly uh, went through to the final.
Okay, okay. So, Nofil, now I would come back towards you. So, of course, the limelight's definitely on the likes of Nico Williams and Lamine Jamal, specifically
Mm-hmm.
Jamal, who has been a 16-year-old prodigy and definitely is an upcoming star. But one of the, you can say, the engine players or the one player who connects the whole Spanish team, or you can say that अच्छा अगर ये वाला player बाहर होता है टीम से तो टीम बैठ सकती है. And he is Rodri from Manchester City,
Mm-hmm.
and you are a Manchester City fan as well.
Of
So,
course.
what do you like about Rodri, and how do you see his performance in this tournament?
I mean, and Rodri hasn't been. I mean, you won't see his performance. You won't see his goals and everything in this Euros, but you know that he's playing and he's making the team whole. Like you said, he is the engine of the team, and he sets the tempo of the whole flow of the match and how the team is playing. So you know that there's somebody in the back that's gonna be able to grab that ball and give it to the forwards without having without without him losing it. And I feel like if you have Rodri there, then you know that your back is good. You don't have to worry about that. And like you said, I'm a Man City supporter, and he's been giving us goals when we needed them, even when Haaland isn't scoring, when what do you call it? Bernardo isn't scoring. I mean, any of the forwards aren't scoring good, or when they have an off day, you know Rodri's gonna come through with a clutch shot, and he's gonna basically do one of his long shots and score a goal for City. And I think was in the last UCL final, his goal was the only goal we scored. So it was 1-0, and we scored that goal, and that's how we won. So he's a very amazing player. He is the definition of a clutch player for your team. So he's playing the same function that he does for Manchester City in the Spain team. Even though he hasn't scored any goals, he is making sure that the possession gets taken back by Spain, and he gives out those long balls to the forwards. And of course, we don't concede any goals. I mean, Spain doesn't concede any goals. But like I said, I haven't seen him as much being prominent in the Euros, but I know that his hand is in the victories of Spain up till now, pretty much.
So for us, normally when we are judging a CDM or any central midfielder, so the main stats we are looking at is the tackles, the ball recoveries, or ball interceptions. So those are the main stats that we are looking at. But in the case of Rodri, if we see, so he has been able to constantly uh, contribute in goals and assist department over the last five seasons for Manchester City. And in the latest season, he has been able to score a total of 17 goals plus assists for Manchester City. So, how do you see this contribution by Rodri? Apart from being a CDM, world class CDM, he is contributing in goals as well.
Yeah, as you just mentioned that this previous season he had a total of 17 goals and assists, and his best season, if you see it from an attacking point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if your CDM is doing all the ball recoveries and recycling uh, as good as the goals and assists, then what else we want? So what do you guys think that if Spain is able to win the Euros, then can we see Rodri win the Ballon d'Or or
I don't think he's gonna win the Ballon d'Or because the attackers always win the Ballon d'Ors. He's gonna be up in the rankings, but of course he's never gonna win it. He was pretty close last time. I mean, he wasn't that close, but he was still in the top rankings as far as the Ballon d'Or goes. But I don't think he's gonna win it, of course, unless they come out with a special Ballon d'Or for like CDMs and defensive midfielders and like the mid. That's maybe like he'll probably be on the top for that, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. Um, yeah, I mean, he's
Raz,
not
I
gonna win it.
personally feel like the Real Madrid players, they have generally have better PR. Like for example, his competitors out here are Vinicius Junior and of course Jude Bellingham.
Yeah.
And personally, if you ask me, I feel like Rodri had a better overall season as compared to both of them. And as far as the Euros is concerned, even Rodri is performing better than them. And I feel like he's easily top three players of this Euros in terms of what he has been able to do with Spain. Because if you ask me one question that, okay, if we take off Rodri from the Spain squad, do Spain reach the finals? Honestly, I don't think that they will even reach semifinals. So Rodri is obviously an indispensable player for not only Spain and even Manchester City as well.
Yes.
So I personally think that Rodri should be winning the Ballon d'Or. Okay, but again, the Ballon d'Or, that's personally I feel like it's more like an award of popularity. Of course, the
Mm-hmm.
performance, your overall performance, goals, assists, and all that stuff matters. But somewhere in between,
Mm-hmm.
there comes a point where the club you belong to, the fan base, and the journal PR that is surrounding the whole scenario, that takes over. And that's why I believe that Rodri won't be able to win it, although I
Yeah.
want him to win it for the sake of football. Because honestly, the other competitor, the topmost guy right now, who the bookies are saying that he'll win the Ballon d'Or is Jude Bellingham. And to be honest, he has been I won't say abysmal. Of course, he has scored goal as well, and he has played good in patches. But overall, the quote unquote guy Jude Bellingham that we see that okay, he's the next golden boy of England, or he will do something great. I haven't seen that sort of performance from him. Sorry to say. So Jude Bellingham hasn't lived up to the hype, so that's why I believe Rodri. And even for the season, the Real Madrid season, so in the later part of the season, Jude Bellingham wasn't able to perform. I mean, he was absent for the last part, for the large part of the matches, and most of of his goals came in the early part of the season, where he was pinging in last minute goals or last minute assists. Okay, so these are my reasons for giving the Ballon d'Or to Rodri, but let's see that what happens in future. So coming towards the next question, Nofel, so we have talked a lot about Spain. So one of the players from the French team, Antoine Griezmann, so he has been the
Mhm.
mainstay in the French national team for the last, I guess, 6 to 7 years. And
Yeah.
the 2018 World Cup that France was able to win. So Griezmann was a main player in their team. Of course, Giroud scored the goals, and Mbappe, he was a star man of their squad. But Griezmann, he was the X factor of the team. So Griezmann was dropped for the all-important game versus Spain, and Colomoni, a more conventional centre forward, was preferred over him. So
Hmm.
how do you see this change from Didier Deschamps? Did it fire it back? Was it successful? What do you think?
I feel like they shouldn't have dropped him for this specific match because Griezmann does have experience from the past of winning the World Cup and playing in high expectation games where the whole country is expecting France to go through. I feel like they should have kept him at least for this match because he would bring that mentality aspect to the team. So when they needed to come back, it would have helped with that at least, even though he hasn't been performing as good as he did in the past. For the club, he's been decent, but he's not nowhere close to the level that he was in the past. So even in the last game before the one with Spain, he did perform decent. Of course, I don't think he scored any goals in there, but he was good. And the second part of the argument, the flip side you can think of is that Kolomani did contribute with a goal or an assist. Was it a goal or an assist? I don't know.
Oh,
Goal, right? Yeah, so he did score a goal. So you could think that, hey, maybe the switch, the dropping of Griezmann and bringing on Muani was a good decision. But in my opinion, you need players like uh, Griezmann who have experienced stuff like this in high pressure games like this. Like, what do you call it? They still have Conte. The reason why they have Conte, of course, is because of his performance. Secondly, he is a person who is clutch in these moments and who does perform in high stress environments like the match that they had before. So I feel like what the coach did with this decision was incorrect. He shouldn't have done that. He should have kept Griezmann on. Should have kept Moani as a, what do you call it? He could have kept him as a sub, I guess. But they shouldn't have left Griezmann. I feel like that's a bad
okay.
decision.
Okay, so Fraz, there was a lot of talk about the France midfield. I mean, they selected N'Golo, Didier Deschamps selected N'Golo Kante, Aurelien Tchouameni, and Adrien Rabiot. So, first of all, a lot of French fans were like, Camavinga should have started instead of Adrien Rabiot, although he came on later in the game. And another claim that a lot of French fans were making was that they missed someone like Paul Pogba in the squad. He was missing. Now, obviously, we can say that okay, N'Golo Kante isn't that much good on the ball. I mean, he's good, excellent with tackling, ball interception, and ball recovery. And Adrian Rabiot can also fall in that, but obviously none of them is comes close to the uh, ball delivery or the ball spreading or the crossfield passes that Pogba used to give. Even Mbappe said recently that when Pogba was playing, he was pretty sure that okay, this is the place I want this pass at, and Pogba was able to deliver it. So, do you think that someone like Paul Pogba was missed in this squad? And in case he wasn't missed, the other option was of course Kamavinga. Should he have started instead of Adrian Rabiot? Uh, and this midfield should have been a bit more attacking instead of being this much defensive.
Yeah, so from the start, Deschamps has always been a defensive manager. Most of the French fans also believe that he hasn't been able to utilize the talent pool correctly, even though they did win a World Cup. And I agree that this lineup with this midfield, he did go a bit defensive. Uh, I believe Camavinga and Chouamani uh, are more than capable of starting in the France lineup together. And I personally do believe that Camavinga should have started this match. And you could also see that both Conte and Rabiot were subbed early in the second half. So that plan clearly didn't work for France.
Okay, okay. So one more question for you, Fraz. So let's say in place of Rodri, we have had Declan Rice. So would Spain still be reaching this stage, or you think that they would have been eliminated somewhere earlier? So in case we compare Declan Rice and Rodri, of course they are two best stadiums at their club, and not only at their club but in the world right now. So do you think it would have been the same or something different?
I think the profiles of both of the players are is like pretty much similar, but Rodri has performed. Obviously, Rodri is the better player and has performed much better over the past few seasons. I'm not sure how Rice is still a bit young, I guess, and
Wait,
maybe
what's the age difference? Let me see.
yeah.
Declan Rice age is 25. How old is Rodri? Let's see. 3 years older. I mean, that's not a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a big difference, but I believe a player like Rodri is key to any team, be it the national side or a club like Manchester City. And yeah, that's pretty much.
Oh, you're saying if Rice was with Spain, they would have still reached this would have won all the games and they would have reached the
I think
finals?
uh, it that's a subjective thing, so it I can't say much on this one.
I mean, I guess that's kind of true because he is playing CDM for England and they are going to the finals. So, I mean, I guess you could kind of make
Yeah,
that
but the system that England is playing is a bit
is different.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's mostly about how the system is utilizing it.
England has no system though.
Okay, so Nofil, in the start we talked about this guy named Danny Olmo. So as you said, the highlight that's been on the Lamine Jamal and Nico Williams, but of course the player who has scored the most goals and who has been the most impactful for the Spanish side, he is Danny Olmo. And he isn't one of your old school hi-fi Spanish names for like Iniesta, Xavi, or David Silva. He's just your regular CAM central attacking midfield and who has been performing on a top level in this Euros. We can argue that he has possibly been the best player in this Euros in terms of the
Mhm.
impact. And currently he plays his football in RB Leipzig in the German league.
Yeah.
And coming into this tournament, there was no major hype surrounding this. Of course, there were other names in Spanish team like Rodri, Lamine Jamal, but nobody
Yeah.
thought that Danny Olmo would perform at such a high level. So, how do you rate his performance, and how do you think he would perform in the final? And what's his future? Do you think that RB Leipzig would be receiving any bids for him?
I was very surprised when he performed the way that he did, and the fact that he's on the top of the list of golden boots right now. I was very surprised because for Leipzig he plays, but he doesn't play as good. I looked up his stats, and he had barely any I mean, he had some goals and assists, but nothing to take note of. So again, when nobody had hype for him going into the tournament, they were all correct because he doesn't deliver goals or assists to a degree that he did in the Euros. For some players, I feel like when they put on their national shirt, something happens to them and they play a lot better. And I feel like Olmo is one of those players where even though he hasn't played the best for Spain in the past, but in this Euros, he's been amazing. He scored that one deciding goal against France, and before that he scored a couple too. And he's been giving consistent assists, and of course he's at the top right now. So I feel like that's the international factor, playing for your country. That's what kind of brought him up to the top. I don't think Leipzig is going to be receiving any bids as of right now. Maybe they'll probably all the clubs, they're probably going to see how he's going to perform for their club after the Euros. If he builds on this hype and keeps performing at the level that he did in the Euros, if he keeps doing that, then why not? People are going to be bidding on him, trying to get him to play for their club. But as of right now, his hype is amazing in the Euros, but can he perform in the clubs? We don't know that until we go back to the season.
Okay, okay. So for us, we were talking about Danny Olmo, and as I said that we can argue that he has been the best player in the tournament. But obviously the all the eyes have been on this guy named Lamine Jamal. We of course talked about him in the start, and he's only 16 years old, and he scored that wonder goal uh, against France in the semi-final. So currently his market value is around 90 million euros, and that too at 16 years of age. So how do you see his rise, and where do you see him upcoming 4 to 5 years? I mean, even to reach 20, he has still 4 years remaining.
Yeah, I believe performing like this at such a young age is quite commendable, and uh, which is why most people have already started comparing him to the likes of Lionel Messi, because
There's been a
Messi
picture
also,
circulating as well where Messi is holding a tub in which Lamine Jamal is
yeah,
having a bath.
yeah, and both, I believe both Dani Olmo was also from Barcelona's youth academy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you and most of the Barcelona's youth academy uh, players scored in the semi-final. Xavi Simons as well for Netherlands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, as talking about Lamine Yamal, yeah, he's quite an exciting prospect, but it's still a long way to go. You can see one injury can also
Mm-hmm.
affect player's career, but I hope that doesn't happen, and we continue to see him perform well at every stage of the in the future.
I feel like as long as he's consistent, he's gonna be pretty good
Yes.
because like you see your boy Pedri, he's always injured now, and he got injured in this tournament too. So I mean, I guess overworking and that has to be kept in check too. So hopefully he has good
I
trainers.
heard that he'll go for the Olympic Games as well for Spain. Now, I'm personally against it
Yeah,
because that would be too much football for a body of
yeah,
years old, and that is where the likes of Spain and the Barcelona board and they'd be doing wrong because they can potentially lose a huge prospect on hands.
yeah. I
Feel
mean,
like
the same
that,
thing happened with what's his name, Gavi too.
yeah.
Gavi too, right?
Yep.
Got injured last
So
international.
Spain has these couple of young prospects in Pedri, Gavi, and Lamine Jamal. But again, as you said, that they need to manage their minutes and their playing
Yes.
time as well in case they want them to uh, have a consistent and a high quality career. Else, as you
Mm,
mentioned, that Pedri is injured. Even even he missed a majority of the season, and currently he has missed majority of the Euros as well. So staying
yeah.
on the pitch is important, definitely, to stake a claim for the Ballon d'Or or the highest awards of the game.
Mm,
So, with that being said, boys, it was fun talking about this game, Spain versus France. And let's hope that we get a top quality final between Spain and England. So, obviously, we will be doing a preview video for the final later in this week. So, Let's wait
What's your
for
guys'
that.
prediction
We will,
for
we,
England?
yeah, we'll talk about that in detail. And apart from that, viewers, so tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we'll be releasing a video on the review of Netherlands and England match as well. So just stay tuned and wait for that as well. And then you will get a thorough preview of the final match as well. So with that being said, I'd like to close this podcast, the first podcast of the football on Sports Banter. See you all in the next one, and thank you so much for watching. And once again, don't forget to subscribe the Sports Banter channel for more banter. Thank you so much. Bye.